Everybody, welcome to the organization meeting for the Glen Rock Board of Education. We are going to start off by calling roll. Ms. Calvez?
Here.
Mr. Cohen? Mr. Corey?
Here.
Mr. Hayward?
Here.
Ms. Stevenson?
Here.
Dr. Robinson?
Here.
Okay. Can everybody please rise for the salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with PL 1975, Chapter 231, notice of tonight's meeting was mailed to the Record and the Ridgewood News in the future, on January 7th. Notice of this meeting was also emailed to the Borough Clerk and was posted on the bulletin board of the Board of Education offices in the admin building on the same date. Copies of the procedures in effect for regular board meetings are available for the public at tonight's meeting. Our mission statement: the Glen Rock School District, founded on principles of education in partnership with a supportive community, provides an exceptional education to all students to cultivate resilient, responsible, and engaged global citizens. Okay, we are going to start by reading into the minutes the official election results that was held on November 4th, 2025, as certified by the Bergen County Board of Elections. Z. Tang, 2,353 votes. Emily Hamilton Thorson, 1,359 votes. Christine P. Parlamis, 2,947 votes. Angela F. Pucci Bender, 2,936 votes. Stephanie Carasella, 1,605 votes. So our winners were Mr. Tang, Ms. Parlamis, and Dr. Pucci Bender. At this point, we will swear in our newly elected members of the Board of Education. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and this state
and the state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Okay? I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
for the office of member of a Board of Education,
for the office of a member of the Board of Education,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all duties of that office
perform all duties of that office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please join us at the dais.
Congratulations.
Alrighty, at this time, we will now take nominations for board president. Do we have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Damali Robinson for president.
Okay. Are there any additional nominations? Hearing none, we will vote by roll call. Ms. Calvez?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen? Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mr. Hayward,
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas,
Yes.
Dr. Pucci Bender,
Yes.
Dr. Robinson,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
Mr. Tang.
Yes.
Congratulations, Dr. Robinson. You've been elected President of the Board of Education.
Thank you again. All right, I'll move on to nominations for Vice President. Can I have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Elizabeth Calvez
All right,
for Vice President.
all right. Thank you. And are there any additional nominations for Vice President? All right. Mr. Canellis?
Ms. Calvez,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mr. Hayward,
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas,
Yes.
Dr. Pucci Bender,
Yes.
Dr. Robinson,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
Mr. Tang.
Yes.
Congratulations, you have a Vice President.
All right, thank you. All right, acting CSA reports, please.
All right, first of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year to everybody. Congratulations, Dr. Robinson and Ms. Galvez. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Pucci Bender and Mr. Tang to the board. I just met Mr. Tang last month, but I'm looking forward to working with him. I've actually known Dr. Pucci Bender since like maybe 2015 or so. It's been a while. So I'm happy to see a happy face here again, a friendly face here again. Both of you, I really welcome you here. I appreciate your desire to serve the Glen Rock community. Look forward to you joining the work we're doing here and on the board and in the district. Everyone else, welcome back to a new year. I'm looking forward to the continued conversations with trustees we're having about governance as we continue, especially going through that book. I gave you a copy, and Mr. Tang as well, as we're working through that. Schools are up and running today. Everybody I talked to seemed rested and rejuvenated, which was nice. It was a long haul getting to break there, so it's nice to have a little bit of time. Winter sports are up and running. I was over at the girls' basketball. They were up by quite a lot when I had to leave for there. Mr. Canellis and I are starting budget meetings with administration this week. This is my second time through the process, so it's a little bit more familiar, which is a good feeling. Upcoming, we're going to have a naming committee for Central, the proposal to rename Central School. We're going to be meeting with some folks about that, to look what's going on. So a lot of things up and running right away. One of the trustees did send me an agenda question, and I didn't get to it till late in the day, and that was about on the agenda, for the organization, there's some items that we do in June and also in January, and why is that? And basically what it has to do is we work on both a fiscal year and a calendar year. So in June, we have to prove some fiscal things so we can get going in July 1, but then also when we seat a new board, we have to reapprove them even though they've already been approved. There are also a couple things that we've moved from that springtime reorganization to here, and that shift should be complete at this point. And then you might see a couple items on there that haven't been included in the past but should have been, like the Oprah request form and just some other procedural stuff to make sure that that is all there. So no surprises really, I don't think, but just want to clear that up. And then real quickly, just kind of upcoming things that the board we're going to be working on fairly soon. I think in end of January, we're going to have our ethics training from Mr. Zittimer. In February, we're going to have some training for the board on Robert's Rules of Order. We're going to have an update on the district goals. There'll be a non-tenured staff review. In March, there'll be the tentative budget approval. April is the budget hearing. May is reappointment of staff, and in June, we're wrapping up the year. So like it's going to be a lot of things coming at us pretty quickly here. So I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to working together this year.
All right, thank you. So being that this is my third year, going into my third year of being president, I just wanted to kind of have a statement of intent. We've been through a lot as a board, as a community, both locally, nationally, all of these things, and all of those things like kind of bleed into our lives. And I just wanted to say that as we begin as a new board year, I want to be intentional about the tone, expectations, and leadership approach that will guide our work together. The statement that I'm making today is meant to serve three purposes. First, to be clear with my fellow board members about my expectations as your president, a role that you've asked me to serve. And second, to speak directly to our administration about the type of partnership and support this board intends to provide. And third, to reaffirm to our community the values of fairness, transparency, and honest governance that will define our decision-making. Personally, I believe in servant leadership, and that means that leadership is grounded in service to the whole, not allegiance to any one group. It means fostering accountability, open dialogue, and mutual respect, even when conversations are uncomfortable or complex. Support for our administrators, educators, and families does not mean a blank check or unquestioned agreement. It means thoughtful oversight, clear expectations, and a shared commitment to excellence. This board will not operate from a place of fear, pressure, or performative loyalty. All across the state of New Jersey, boards have been pulled into a constant tug of war, asked to prove devotion, to act as shields, or to demonstrate love through allegiance rather than judgment. This approach erodes trust and weakens governance, and it's not the model that we are adopting. We are a moderate, deliberative board. We will evaluate issues on their merits. We will ask questions, we will expect professionalism and accountability, and we will do so without preconceived outcomes other than this: the success of our students, the health of our school district, and responsible stewardship of public resources. We approach our work with administration as professional partners, grounded in trust, transparency, and shared responsibility for outcomes. To our administration, this board intends to be a steady, engaged, and supportive partner. Support does not mean silence, and accountability does not mean hostility. And it means that we are invested in your success and in building systems that work for students, staff, and families alike. This board can and will ask questions, set expectations, and engage in oversight while acting in good faith and with respect. Public comment is an essential part of democratic governance. Members of the community will come to the podium and express their views, and those views, while heard, do not automatically reflect the intent or position of this board. We expect professionalism at the podium and do not tolerate ad hominem attacks. At the same time, we cannot and should not muzzle the public. That reality requires patience, discipline, and intestinal fortitude from all of us. Ultimately, this board's values and support are made clear through our actions and our votes. Over time, we have consistently demonstrated our support for our teachers and our administration through responsible governance, thoughtful decision-making, and a commitment to long-term success of this district, and that will be how we continue to lead. To our community, you can expect fairness, transparency, and principled decision-making from this board. We will listen, we will explain our reasoning, and we will not govern by reaction or pressure, but by what we believe is right and sustainable for the district. We are living in a moment where trust in institutions is fragile and in many cases actively eroding. That makes local governance more important, not less. If we want better leadership beyond this room, we must model it here: calm over chaos, integrity over allegiance, accountability over posturing. And that is the standard that I want to set as president. That is what I expect of myself, of this board, and our partnerships this year. And I just want to say thank you, and I look forward to moving forward and working together. All right. So we are opening up our first set of public comments at 7:16. This is for agenda items only again. Please state your name, your address. You have 3 minutes to talk. You'll hear a little bell go off just to kind of ask you to wrap up your comments regarding agenda items only. There will be a second set of public comments for all items. Okay. So seeing no members of the public for agenda items, I'll close the first public comment session at 7:17. Can I have a motion to discuss 01 through 037? Dan Corey, seconded by Ed Hayward. Any, before we actually go through anything, we'll just stop at 01. So as we usually do when we're adopting, code of ethics or certain resolutions and things like that, we'll just go around as a board and read each item. And I'll start with myself for A. So every year we, as a board, reaffirm our code of ethics. And as the members of the public, if you're not familiar with the board members' code of ethics, it's important because it governs everything that we do as a board. As a member of the Glen Rock Board of Education, I state my intention to abide by the code of ethics for school board members as follows. I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing.
I will confine my board actions to policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and I will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them.
I will carry out my responsibility not to administrate the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they will well run.
I will recognize authority rests with the Board of Education. Thank you. I will make no personal promises or take any private action that may compromise the board.
I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends.
I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, I will provide accurate information and, in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its school.
I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
I will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties.
I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on the complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. All right. All right, and then we'll do our roll call at the end. That's okay, right?
Sure.
Okay, all right.
If we could just have all of the board members sign
Oh,
their
sure.
ethics.
Hold it. And you can hold on to them until the end of the meeting. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Jumping the gun. All right, any other, let's see, the first thing I'll do is like appoint the legislative delegate. So I know that you've served, Karen, as our legislative delegate in the role, and you know, the legislative delegate would go to the delegate assembly, which occurs twice a year. And if you can just like briefly tell us what that experience has been like for you.
So the meetings are held in November and in May down at Mercer County College, and it really is a very interesting process. Districts from all over the state are represented, and they set policy there and how New Jersey school boards what they're going to focus on, especially in their lobbying efforts. We get a list of all the different districts that bring different things forward. Like last time, Clifton brought forward universal lunch for all, and that was voted upon and was passed, and that's something that the school boards is going to advocate for. Nothing that goes on in school boards becomes law, because they're just an advocacy group. But it's great, because you can meet people from all over the state, and you can hear about other boards of eds and challenges that they are facing. Mm-hmm. And the meetings are, well, there's breakfast at 8:30. The meetings are usually 9, we're out by 12.
So I know that you've served. I would be happy for you to serve again, but I also want to open it up to see if there's anybody that specifically wants to fill this role in consideration for legislative advocate.
I mean, somebody can serve, but those meetings are open to everybody,
Yep.
but only the delegate is the person who can vote, and they're also virtual. But if you're going to vote, you have to be there in person. That's only the delegate, so.
Yep.
I mean, I happen to like that kind of stuff, so it is fun, and it is interesting, and I do enjoy meeting people from around the state.
All right, well, seeing no other offers and also knowing your enthusiasm for the role, would you be able to serve again? Thank you. All right, so we will have appointed Karen. Thank you, Karen. All right. Yes, we will, and then you'll let us also know if there's anything that we can think of that we can bring to the delegate assembly, you know, either on behalf of like our constituency or something that would be beneficial across the state, that would be great. Okay, so any other things that I need to make an announcement for? Hold on, let me just make sure. Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments regarding our O items? Mr. Cohen?
In regards to O2, providing an exceptional education to all students, with the new board members and the new administration leadership, I believe this is the time for the board to address important policies and plans to help achieve our mission statements. Specifically, 1, evaluate the need for a dedicated principal for the middle school. The challenges in the middle schools are very different than the high school. And in fact, only 12% of schools in New Jersey have one principal for 6 to 12, as opposed to 88% of the schools that operated separately between the middle school and the high school. I believe it's time for the board to evaluate the implication of separating these two schools' administrations again. 2, evaluate the educational benefits and the financial implication of the supervisors. After more than 5 years in this model, it's time for the board to understand the cost-benefits analysis of the supervisor's model, especially given the cost increase and limited budgets for the district. 3, late start time in the high school and the middle school. I believe there's a board majority support for the late start time in the middle school and the high school, and the benefits for that from an education perspective and mental health for the students are clear. We should ask formally the administration to evaluate and build a plan to do so. 4, no cell phone policy in high school. We talked about this at length. It's time to move from talking to actions and receive the draft policy from the administration. 5, support for special ed kids and parents who stay in the district. We pay so much money for special ed services out of the districts, but parents who keep their kids with special needs in the district are not getting the support they need, to say the least. It's time to reevaluate how the district supports the parents with kids with special needs and their parents. We should not wait for a new superintendent. The board needs to start addressing these elements now to fulfill our mission statement to provide an exceptional education for all students. In regards to O37, I'm going to vote no, as I mentioned multiple times. More than 80% of the school districts in New Jersey will start before Labor Day, as Labor Day falls in the second week of September. This is just going to cause Glen Rock students to fall behind the state. Thank you.
All right. So one, I thought you were going to make that comment during new business. I know you did share that you were going to make this comment. Before I even say anything, are there any other members of the board that have anything to say with regards to your comments on O2 or any other?
Can I respond to the
Yes.
vote? So, thank you for sharing what your agenda is for the board. As far as certain things that you said are not within our purview as Board of Ed members. One thing that is policy, and currently on Governor Murphy's desk is the cell phone ban, strict guidelines for a cell phone ban that he has supported, and his term ends on January 20th, and he says that he is going to sign it. We will have to wait for that. So I think anything beyond that, we need to see what the state says, and the State Department of Education will then come up with guidelines to work with districts. Number 2, I vehemently disagree with you that our children will fall behind by starting after Labor Day. And also for the later start time, that is currently with the Commissioner of Education, and they are investigating it. And I really firmly believe, and I brought up later start time in the past, and I brought up cell phone bans, discussions on it. I think we need to hear, as our ethics just said, from the stakeholders. We need to craft policies that are thoughtful and that benefit the students. We are in the business of educating children. We are not a for-profit. We are a nonprofit. And our business is to educate children and make decisions that are in their best interest of them, the staff, the parents, every stakeholder. So that's all. That's my opinion on what you said.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Again, just to put it on the table, welcome to returning board members and the new board member. Once again, I think it's great. We've got a cohesive board. We've elected the same president and vice president for the 3rd year in a row, and I think stability is a big part of what we're trying to do here. I think you've got a lot of energy and you're interested in the topics, which is great, and they're worthy of discussion. I think it might be worth waiting until we have the full board and administration here, once we have a full-time superintendent. I'd hate to make major changes and have someone come in with a new vision who might think differently than that. And I think there's value to taking our time with those types of discussions. As you said, with the cell phone, that might be a non-issue because the governor, I'm pretty sure, is going to sign it in the next 20 days. So that's sort of off the table. But the others are all interesting topics. And like I said, I don't want to do it back and forth, but like buses or the later start times, I've seen with schools that have early busing. We don't have any busing. So it's less of an impact. I'm not saying it's a bad idea at all, but that might be a point to the discussion. And I agree with you. We should get community involvement and lots of input and administrators and teachers and everyone. So all for it, just in the right order and in the right time.
Just to clarify, I'm not against having community input and everybody's input, but what I'm just asking is to start a discussion, which we haven't been discussing.
I think the discussion started for the cell phone ban, and sometimes in public sector and public service, things move very slowly. They don't move as fast as any of us would like. I mean, I spent a career in education, so I'm used to this very slow pace of the way that things happen, and that's okay too. Not everything has to, in my opinion, has to be quick, let's do this. And if you're not accustomed to that, if you haven't been in public service, I mean, a few of us here are, we understand that that's just kind of had. I know it's frustrating when you first start, that, oh, I just want this done, I want this done, which is good, and discussions are good. But I believe the administrators did start speaking about the cell phone ban. I mean, and again, I agree with Ed that I don't know that this is the right time to make bold changes.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is the most thorough reading of our mission statement that I've ever suffered. So I'm really happy that we're talking about topics. We as a board, we function, as you said, in a policy-oriented role. There are separations of powers that a lot of people are talking about right now nationally, and our role is to not administer the schools. I think what all these issues are appropriate topics for when we start a permanent search for a superintendent for the district. And this is not, it's not that these aren't inappropriate, it's just that our role, we should feel appropriately saddled by these things. We're not here to make decisions and execute upon them. We're here to provide policy, and those policies come through a partnership by pushing these issues ahead of the process to the facility to make these outcomes realized. I think we're missing the entire point if we follow that path. I'm glad to hear that there's consensus that we do have a proper process and that we're in the process of establishing that permanent, long-term visionary partner with the board who's going to be taking these on and hearing those complaints, along with all the community members that I think over the past 4 years for me and Karen, we've heard a lot of these topics come up, but they haven't gotten to the point where they're actually executable. So that was my point.
All right. So I'll share two things. One, like other board members have just stated with regards to whether it be the cell phone policy or the early start or late start rather, and all of these things, yes, we have talked about them over the course of the past several months, but none of them have been so mission critical for us to prioritize them over the other things that and as well as the entire community knows that we've been dealing with over the past several meetings. And so, yes, we can talk about the cell phone policy. You yourself had mentioned that the lame duck session would come through and that, that the Governor Murphy might put it to signature and it passed through the legislature last month and all of that. So great, that's going to be taken out of our hands shortly. And then as will be required, all of the administrators all across the state who don't currently have policies will definitely be able to look into that and make sure that we have something that's a right fit solution for Glen Rock. When it comes down to, whether it's administering the schools, again, yes, that's not our responsibility, but I think that based on the conversations, and I've shared this before, but I've had to, in my role as president, in the prior year, I had to sit down and have conversations with administration. And while, just like I'm having conversations with the community, one thing that has rang through in both of those groups, and even amongst us here, where you even heard Ed just say it, was stability. And when you have a situation where you have a board that is not necessarily showing that we want some sort of like stability for us to take the input of stakeholders, take whether those stakeholders are parents that are sitting in front of us, there are other community members that may not have kids in the school district, there are the kids themselves, the administrators, the teachers, you know, the other fellow board members. Like, we need to be able to just sit for a moment and take in all of that information and then move through that knowledge. Not so much just the things that we have decided that we think are important, but the things that the community and all of those stakeholders are sharing with us that are important. Stability has come up in multiple conversations. So the last thing that I want to suggest is that we make large, you know, like large swings. Deciding that we are going to prioritize, you know, like, you know, splitting up the middle school, high school, when that is the antithesis of the process that has been going on for the past several years, is concerning for me, because that's a major change. That's a major, like, regardless of whether something is good or bad or whatever, one, we'd have to figure out what is it, like, what is the problem that we're exactly trying to solve, right? Because the last thing that you want to do is just say, okay, you know what, we don't like the way that this thing is because this certain group wants it and we're going to change it. And then we say, okay, well, now we've changed it, great. What are we measuring for its success? What are we looking at to say that it's worked? What if the whole community has adapted to the way that things are, and then by changing it, we change nothing else? We change nothing else, but in the process of that change, you lose people, you lose more people, you lose your staff, you lose potentially trust of the community because they don't like things because they had gotten used to the way that things were. So really, you know, I personally, because again, although I'm president, I'm just one vote, I would support what you mentioned, Ed, to say that like we need to have a permanent administration team in place in order to take a look and use their experience to help guide us through whatever it is that our district becomes over the next strategic, you know, like 5-year plan. And that is, you know, like I'm addressing this to you only because you mentioned this in your statement. But it's also an address to the community or anybody that has asked me this question, because it has come up, you know, multiple times. So, yeah, you know, I'll have other things to say when we get down to like new business regarding some of the outstanding items. But, you know, that's it. And again, I appreciate the differences in the diversity of this board. I would say that this is probably the most diverse, you know, group of people that we have in our community. We come from all kinds of political backgrounds, all kinds of educational backgrounds, a variety of different jobs and sectors that are responsible here, a lot of different lived experiences, and all of that helps us to govern more effectively. It helps us to be able to come to decisions like more certainly, and I appreciate that when with you even coming and bringing something that you think that may even be, you know, contentious. So thank you. And I want to continue those conversations. I just want to make sure that when we do that, we also take into account that some of those decisions that we bring and some of the things that we bring up and the stability, we really just have to think about that. Like any superintendent that we have that would be looking to apply here, present company included, I assume, you know, is going to be watching all of these meetings and wondering like what community that they're stepping into, what board they're stepping into, what administrative environment, as well as, you know, like what are the temperature of the teachers. Like all of those things are things that are mission critical for us as we're interviewing a superintendent, but they're also actively interviewing us through every meeting that they see and every interaction that they watch and all of that. And, you know, we want to attract the best because we want to be the best. So, you know, all of my statements and the statements of the board, and even honestly the statements of the community as well, because you can always send your emails to us. If, you know, like, I want honesty, I want transparency, I want to continue that path, but I also just want to be cognizant of that for the future. So, thank you. Oh, yes, Angela.
Hi, again, thank you to everyone for welcoming me. Mr. Cohen, I'd like to thank you for putting your thoughts together concisely and they all are legitimate thoughts and concerns, and I will have a lot to say when the time comes for each one, I can guarantee you. But I know that the board has been through a tremendous amount the last couple of months, and right now, I think that I have to step back and say that, yes, we are the governing factor that makes sure that the administration does what they need to do on the day-to-day basis, and that it's well-run. That's where our limitations are, is that we don't run the district, the administrators do, but we make sure that it's run well. Again, Dr. Robinson, I have to really commend you for how everything shook out after, the trouble that we've gone through. But I do want to add that I was on the board when the changes took place way back in 2020. So I have seen, and living in the community for 50 years, believe it or not, I know I don't look old enough to, but anyway, it's change. And, I have a lot of insight that I've seen being an educator and, through the ranks, all the way up to administration, chief school administrator. So I have input that I would like to give when the time comes. But I think that, again, I would like to thank Mr. Cohen for, putting that all together to bring it to the surface and things to think about. I wasn't part of the board earlier this year when these things came to be, so I didn't have an opportunity to put any input in. But now, again, I want to thank you for that. Thank you again, Dr. Robinson.
All right, thank you.
And Ms. Calvez, I can't leave you out because I know you were very, very vital in the background there.
All right. All right, if no other comments, then if we can call roll on 01 through 37 with the exception noted by Mr. Cohen.
Ms. Calvez?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes, except no for 37.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayward?
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas?
Yes.
Dr. Pucci Bender?
Yes.
Dr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Tang?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to discuss G1? Ms. Parlamas, seconded by Ms. Stevenson. Any questions or comments about G1? We can have a roll call, please.
Ms. Calvez?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayward?
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas?
Yes.
Dr. Pucci Bender?
Yes.
Dr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Tang?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to discuss V1? All right, Ms. Calvez, seconded by Mr. Tang. So are you able to just give a brief update with V1?
Sure.
Thank you.
So we received, well, take a step back. We talked a couple of meetings ago about the use of the emergency fund to replace the school bus that we lost in an accident earlier this year. Again, it wasn't such a big accident, but our bus was quite old. And the residual value was about $7,000 and $35,000 worth of repairs. It just, the insurance company just declared it a loss. At that time, we came up with the idea of potentially using our emergency reserve to purchase a replacement bus. The emergency reserve is quite a stringent reserve that is really only for health and safety, and really difficult to get money out of. So we approached the executive county superintendent. We asked him if we had a claim to try and use this money to replace the bus, given the fact that we didn't anticipate losing a bus. And we do use that bus for lots of athletic runs, as well as special ed transportation. He agreed that we had a good case, but we needed commissioner approval. So we wrote a letter to the commissioner we had the board pass a resolution approving the use of the reserve. And on December 26th, we received word that the commissioner approved our petition to use the emergency fund under the parameters set forward, which was the quote under cooperative bid through the Educational Service Commission of New Jersey that has a contract with Hoover Trucks and Buses for a 54-passenger bus. This is a bigger bus than what we had, and what this will allow us to do is now to transport any of our athletic teams as opposed to just our smaller athletic teams. So what this means is we will save money vis-a-vis using our contracted bus service for at least one run a day. In conversation with our AD, he thinks we could use this bus probably almost every day, which will be a real godsend for us and a money saver against money that really we could not have probably gotten at anyhow. I think our residual balance in the emergency reserve is like 25,000, 23,000, something in that neighborhood. So if God forbid we did have an emergency, we had that money, but we also need to remember that we have a very healthy capital and maintenance budget to cover any of those types of items that may happen. So I think it's a win-win for the district, and what this resolution does is merely give the purchasing agent, myself, the ability to go out and purchase that bus because it is higher than the bid threshold.
Thank you, and we haven't even used, or we haven't been able to use any of the money, at least for the last 5 years, 6 years, yeah, or more, in that fund. So that is something significant for us to note, that despite all of the things that have gone on and the things that happen outside of our control, we still have not been able to access that fund. So for us to be able to do this and expand the availability for our athletic teams to be able to use this and keep things and services in-house as a savings is something very significant. So thank you very much, Mr. Canellis, for thinking outside of the box on being able to get this item. Any other questions or comments regarding B1? Yes.
I see this as a strong commitment to the athletics program that we have. The amount of parent volunteers we have in the community far outstrips those man hours compared to the cost of this bus. To be able to say that, we're going to, if we letter it Glen Rock School District on the side, it kind of feels a little different. So this is just a commitment to something that the town's been already supporting. So thanks for figuring it out.
All right. If you could call roll, please.
Ms. Calves?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayward?
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas?
Yes.
Dr. Pucci Bender?
Yes.
Dr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Tang?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. So now just a motion to approve this resolution, a motion to affirm the decision made in GRMS HIB 299514, GRMS HIB 299913, and GRMS HIB 300971 as reported by the acting chief school administrator during the December 15th, 2025 closed work session meeting. Can I have a motion? And for those that were not here, please do abstain from it. You weren't part of the discussion. So thank you. All right. Can I have a motion? Mr. Hayward, and a seconded by Ms. Stevenson. And if you're able to call roll, please.
Ms. Calves?
I will abstain.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayward?
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas?
Yes.
Dr. Pucci Bender?
I will abstain.
Dr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Tang?
Abstain.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right. Now on to our second set of public comments. We will open up public comments for all public comments at 7:48. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes. And then you'll hear a bell ding, and that kind of lets you know that we need you to wrap up your comments. And I would like to open the floor. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eva Pittman, and I'm a freshman at Glen Rock High School. Thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I know that the policy regarding starting clubs at the high school has been discussed at prior board meetings. I'm here to share my experience trying to start a new club and to work together towards improving this process. This summer, my cousin was shot and killed in New York City in a mass shooting. My family and I were devastated, but I tried to channel my energy into something positive. I started researching and found Everytown, which is the largest organization in America for gun safety. Under Everytown, there is a branch called Students Demand Action, which is a student-led organization with groups in high schools and colleges all over the country. Then, I met with my regional advisor from Everytown and spoke about starting a club process, as I was interested in becoming involved. Afterwards, I emailed the principal, vice principal, and my guidance counselor at Glen Rock High School in early September. I was told I had to wait until February to submit the club form, and then wait until next September to start if the form got approved. I was disappointed in this response and was upset with this process. I asked if an exception could be made to start the club this year instead of waiting. Waiting a whole year seemed unreasonable because I was prepared. It was the first week of school. The club fair hadn't even happened yet. Additionally, mass shootings are happening more and more every day, and I want to help our community stay safe and educated. Also, we live in a small town and should all support each other. I'm motivated now and want to take action as soon as I can. I was trying to take my grief and sadness and channel it into motivation for action. When the school asked if I needed support dealing with this tragedy, the one way I asked for was in starting this club, and it was then denied. I understand that consistency is important. However, I believe that no one should have to wait a full year to even get a chance. Furthermore, when this is a pressing issue, I cannot afford to sit around a full year while I could be making a positive change for our community. In order to have my club up and running this year, I would have had to submit the club form last year when I wasn't in high school yet and my cousin was still alive. Moreover, if I were in my senior year when this happened, like my sister is, I would not have been able to do anything at Glen Rock High School for this. I'm now still waiting to start the club, but I'm preparing and doing other work for Everytown. I'm proud to go to a school that encourages clubs as much as it does. However, it upset me that this process is overly restrictive, especially with social action issues that should be extremely important to everyone. I understand that there is nothing I can do for my club at this point. However, I wish everyone has the opportunity to create and be part of something meaningful. I hope that you will consider all these points and think about making this process more sensible and flexible to support your students and community. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
My name is Rob Morrissey. I live on 560 Ackerman Ave. Great job, by the way. That was very impressive. So you have my support. Good evening, board members. My name is Robert Morrissey, and my wife and I have lived in Glen Rock for over 20 years. We've always been proud Glen Rockers, speaking highly of our schools and the values they represent. But today, unfortunately, I stand before you deeply concerned and disappointed. Recently, my son was disciplined by the administration in a manner that I believe was reckless, unprofessional, and based on flimsy evidence at best. The so-called due process began with a conversation where the administration told him, "We are disappointed in you." How is that impartial? Where was his advocate? From the start, the tone was accusatory, not investigative. To make matters worse, when speaking with my wife, the administration portrayed the situation in a very different way. only for us to later receive a formal letter that many of these parents sitting before you received that accused my son of using threatening language and being disrespectful to staff and students. Neither of these allegations are true. This is not just a misunderstanding, it is deceitful and damaging. The evidence was a 30-second video where my son appeared for 6 seconds and is barely recognizable. I had to watch it multiple times to even see my own son. And he's not engaging in unruly behavior. Yet based on that, he was given a 2.5-day suspension, something that will now appear on his college applications. This is a life-impacting consequence for something he did not do. And so I'm asking you, and giddy up, new board members, and as parents, you are all parents, to review the evidence yourselves. Ask, what would you do? Would you accept this if this were your child? Would you allow an administration to act as the judge, the jury, and executioner without proper advocacy or fairness? I trust you would fight for your child, just as I am fighting for mine. So my ask is simple. As a board, be the advocate my son never had. Hold this administration accountable for their actions and ensure that discipline in our schools is based on truth, not assumptions, and that every student receives real due process, not a predetermined verdict. Thank you for your time in considering what is right, not just for my son, but for every student at Glen Rock.
Thank you.
That was good, Rob. I don't know if I can follow that. I'm going to try. My name is Jessica Origi. I live at 246 Doremus Avenue. I am a graduate of Glen Rock High School. Good evening, and thank you for your dedication to the Glen Rock school system, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak here. I, too, want to address the incident that occurred during the Glen Rock Fair Lawn hockey game on December 13th. My son actually was one of the first students that was called down to the vice principal's office on the 16th of December. I was caught off guard when Mr. Morelli contacted me to describe the events that occurred at the game, resulting in my son's 3.5-day suspension. Mr. Morelli told me about the unruly and inappropriate behavior. He told me the police were called, and it was so bad that the police almost had to use pepper spray to control the boys. He told me a Fair Lawn parent shared a video with Glen Rock administration, and the video showed my son demonstrating disrespectful behavior and using threatening language. He informed me he had a long day ahead of him, suspending all of the students that appeared in the video. I was so upset and angry with my son, I apologized to Mr. Morelli, fearing what I would see on the video. And then the video circulated. When I saw it, I thought, clearly this could not be the video that Mr. Morelli was referring to when he called me. I watched the video several times, waiting to see violence, a mob scene, police, pepper spray, chaos. I didn't see any of that. And not only did I not see that, I didn't see my son. Students that were in the video, clearly just standing there doing nothing, were suspended. Some were suspended for 3.5 days, some were suspended for 2 days, some were not suspended at all. Students that never appeared in the video were suspended. Some female students in the video only got lunchtime detention. How did Mr. Morelli decide who got lunchtime detention? How did he decide who got suspended for 3 days, who got suspended for 2 days? Was it favoritism? Was it an attempt to single out students that he deemed to be mischievous? I inquired how these decisions were made, and I did not receive a response. Yes, there was some inappropriate behavior by a select few students, but a 3.5-day suspension for my son in particular, and some of the suspensions for the others, were unwarranted. The punishment just did not fit the crime. When my husband and I appealed the suspension in writing to Mr. Morelli, we were told our son was afforded due process. This did not happen. Mr. Morelli and the Glen Rock High School administration demand respect from the students, yet they did not give respect to the parents. Members of the administration have been dismissive, condescending, and sometimes downright rude. The way that these events unfolded, failed communication, varying suspensions without sufficient backup, demonstrates to me an abuse of power. My husband and I, along with all the other parents in this room, are arguing for the suspension to be removed from our children's record. Mr. Morelli's decisions, false information regarding police involvement, lack of collaboration with parents, and his siloed approach surrounding these suspensions is unwarranted and borders on potentially not legal. The actions are negatively impacting the students' lives. The administration should support their students, discipline them appropriately, help them learn from mistakes, and lift them up and make their high school experience fun and safe. The students deserve better. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to make a statement? All right.
Hi, my name is Marina Skurko, and I live 25 George Road. My daughter was not part of this group of what happened, but she got very anxious and concerned. She couldn't sleep for 3 days, and when I asked her, what's going on? Is it math? Is it biology? She said, no, you don't understand. It's much more than that. She kept talking about this for some time, and you probably saw me, guys. I initiated the conversation on the Facebook, asking what can justify that kids were suspended, that I heard rumors about the scholarship. I don't even know if that's true or not. But I thought, I was very curious because my daughter, she's so active. Next time she will be one of those kids. She is a cheerleader, she is in varsity. All this group of kids, boys and girls, are her friends. I will not be surprised if next time she will be there. What should I tell her? Not go and just support your friends? Don't go to any sports? Quit varsity? Don't do anything? I can understand what is, like right now we're speaking in front of you, and again, I was not prepared, my child was not there, but how this communication works. We're raising our concern. Who should we address and talk back? Yeah, we have 3 minutes, but we need more than 3 minutes. Can I know the name of a person who can come back to me and just explain, say, okay, let's set up 10 minutes, let's just discuss it. I was never involved in that, and I will really appreciate if there is a procedure, if it's somewhere written saying that every parent has a right to talk to 10 minutes for any concerns, I will just appreciate that. So my point right now, there is no communication. Kids, parents cannot talk to teachers regarding that. Parents cannot talk to administration because there is no conversation. Just because we said so, your child is, your child is suspended from school. I don't know, probably my speech was a mess, and it's very emotional, but I just want to understand how this works as in case of communication. Who should I contact? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
David Cohen, 7 Waldron Avenue. Dr. Robinson, you used the word transparency 3 times tonight. I'm only going to speak for myself. I will not speak for any other parents. That is incredibly lacking in this situation. There has been 0 transparencies to the decision-making process, the proof of a video. I challenge all of you to watch that video. The way it was portrayed, pitchforks and burning flags. It's ridiculous. You also have an issue with Mr. Morelli and his honesty. He lied. 2 parents. I have it in writing. Police were called. Pepper spray was going to be used. That calls into question every single thing he said. In a court of law, if you prove that a witness is lying, everything else goes bye-bye. This is a situation, you have an issue with your administrator, and it needs to be addressed. And I do want it off my son's record. It's not a fair judgment for the bulk of the parents sitting here and their kids. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Colleen Monahan. I'm Peter Denty's son, 531 Doremus Avenue. And well, my son was one of the first ones to be called down as well. And Mr. Morelli stated to me that pepper spray and arrests were going to be made. And I contacted the Hackensack Police Department today, and that is untrue. There was a CAD entry made by someone at the game at the Ice House regarding Glen Rock parents, I don't know the circumstances, not children, and that if pepper spray or arrests were going to be made, there would have been a formal report, and there was none, just a CAD entry. So I'm not sure where he came up with that when he spoke to me. And I would just like that clarified. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Dan Arighi, 246 Doremus Ave. Born and raised in Glen Rock. Met my wife Jessica, who you heard from earlier, at this beautiful school I stand in today. My son got caught up in the suspension's absurdity, which caused me to ask, who is this assistant principal Morelli who thinks he can scare and intimidate parents with lies about arrests and pepper spray, randomly suspending students different amount of days as he wishes and not suspending some students at all? A simple Google search shows he was hired as principal at Don Bosco for 2 years, 2019 through 2021, before landing in Glen Rock as a social studies administrator for the 21-22 school year. One would assume he did not leave Don Bosco on his own terms, and my guess is his power trip ego got him shown the door. I strongly suggest that the Glen Rock Board of Ed review this whole situation and Morelli's employment status. It seems the Glen Rock administration listened to an overdramatic account from one Fairlawn cursing mom, lied to support that narrative, and failed to do any further investigative work, including listening to Glen Rock hockey parents who were at the game and sent emails to the Glen Rock administrators in support of our students, yet were ignored. We as parents will continue to fight until this situation is corrected. Thank you.
Are there any other parents at this time or community members that would like to make a comment? Okay. All right. Seeing no additional members of the community, I will close our second public comment session at 8:06. Just give me 1 second. All right, so many of you, I've not been obviously privy to all of the email communications between administration and either the parents or any community members that were concerned about what happened at the Ice House. But the board has received several emails or been CC'd on several emails. For those who have sent specific emails, I did receive something today that asked a specific question to the board. But generally speaking, most of the emails were, are you aware of what's going on? Or are you, like, I just want to make sure that I'm CCing you on this or things like that. So generally, we've not responded, or I've not responded on behalf of the board to the emails, especially in consideration of having conversations with our attorney, and our attorney is aware and things like that of all of these things. The Board of Education and any school district does not get involved with individual school discipline. It is not at all something that we do not have like by name information, and this is not with regards to just what happened here that you all are here for today, but just anything. We don't deal with individual student discipline under Board of Education. we don't get to be involved and see all of the details of conversations between parents or conversations between students, or which student said this or which student said that. Our information is solely dealt with policy, and if policy is followed, which, you know, obviously in discussion with our attorney, that's always going to be something that we want to know. Was policy followed? Policy is followed? Yes. Which is why I've been on CC emails from both Mr. Van Ness, Mr. Morelli, Mr. Orlando, all stating that if you have an issue with anything that was said to you or discussed with you, then you have to take it to the Commissioner of Education. The board is not allowed to legally turn over or involve themselves remotely with regards to individual student discipline. We are not educators. It's not like, it is not legally allowed, period. Sir, I can't, I cannot go back and forth individually with this. I'm telling you legally what we can do, what we cannot do, what is against the law. I can't speak to how I can change the law, like that's something different. But what we can do, as what we do annually, is review policies. But reviewing a policy or even deciding to change it doesn't actually overturn any student discipline actions. It can't. It can't. I know it's a hard decision to hear. As well, like somebody mentioned that we're all parents. Of course we're all parents. Everybody's, we're all parents here, right? Like, and unfortunately, ma'am, like because of the way legally with regards to taking, you know, like questions and back and forth with the community, we can't, unfortunately. But please do send an email, like please do. I will respond back to you. Some of these things that I stated here, and sir as well in the back, if you're able to please, you know, send an email, or even I'll stand and talk with you afterwards. But we can, so in the emails that I've sent out, the next action, as stated by both our acting superintendent, as well as I've seen Mr. Orlando, as well as Mr. Morelli has stated, that you can go to the Commissioner of Education. That is legally, that is the way, and that's the way that we have to support legally. You know, if you have a question, like again, the Board of Education, we said, like if there's certain things that we want to see over the course of the district, if there's certain policies, we have one employee. We don't have every single employee that's in the district. Yes.
We all did. We all asked for a meeting. We got declined. They will not see us. They will not talk to us. I have video from the hockey rink. There is nothing there from them, from the hockey rink.
So I've spoken with a number of you on the phone. A number of you have requested meetings, and last week or before the winter break, I did not have time for that. I spoke with a number of you before winter break, and I did not have time in my schedule for meetings before winter break. I know a couple of you have scheduled meetings. And
Ma'am.
yes, excuse me. I need you to stop interrupting so I can finish my statement, please. I told people before the break I did not have any time in my schedule, and if they wanted to reach out to schedule a meeting with me, they could reach out to my assistant, and I think she's working on scheduling a couple this week. I would be happy to meet with you. We will discuss this, but I'm going to support the administration. I've worked closely with them. I've talked with Mr. Violante, Mr. Orlando, Ms. Morelli. I can't get into details in a public setting like this. I'm not going to get into details one-on-one, but I will meet with you. Reach out to my assistant.
None of those people were there. That's all those names. Not one of those people was at the game.
Yeah. This is where we are. I will meet with you, but you need to, if you're going to need to take it up with the Commissioner of Education as the next step.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, I understand that this is, you know, difficult. I understand that these are, you know, like your children, our children, all of those things. I respect that. And I also have to legally stand by the process. So, you know, Mr. Van Nest is willing to schedule appointments, to meet with those of you who have not been able to schedule appointments yet. So please reach out to his assistant. In addition, again, if you want, information about, again, who to contact, feel free to send an email, and we will make sure that you get that information if you don't have access to that right now. And that is the process. The process is meeting with administration as well as filing, any complaint or any question that you have. You have the ability right now, like you have this, commitment right now that Mr. Van Nest is saying right here that he's willing to meet. He's willing to meet. So please take advantage of the opportunity to schedule a meeting with Mr. Van Nest.
What can we expect in those meetings? Like, I didn't take a day off from work.
We,
Watch a video.
I really cannot go back and forth legally. We can't have this kind of forum, unfortunately, with regards to the bar. No, this is not, we cannot, no, we do not do individual student discipline. We don't, what I'm trying to tell you is not our job. It's not legally allowed. It is not legally allowed, whether it's your children or it's mine. It's mine. We can be involved with regards to policy, not regulation. They're two different things. Policy we can do and regulation, but this is not.
We're talking about policy.
We are talking policy.
Please send me an email. That's it. That's it. We cannot have this kind of back and forth. We cannot do these, no, we can't. We can't. We can't. We can't go back and forth. So I don't direct you to the attorney. You go through our administrator, our administration.
Yeah, let's just go right to terms.
That's it. So, that's it. So that is the, unfortunately, that is the end of this part of the conversation for this meeting. Because again, the meeting, the board meetings, as difficult as that is to, as a concept, the board meetings are for us to meet as a board. They're not actually community forums. We can set community forums for other things, but this is not that. That's it. Next thing is old business, 27-28 draft calendar. It's not a voting item right now. That's something that we vote on at our next reorganization meeting next year.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
so as she said, on January 26th, I'd like to put one of these on as a draft calendar for 27-28. Last time we had Schedule A, which is no November break, and Schedule B, which has the November break. And I'd like to come to some sort of consensus tonight so we know which one to put on the agenda on the 26th. So if you want to discuss it more, if you want to take a straw poll, I'm not sure how you want to proceed.
Well, one, I just also want to recognize that, Mr. Canales, you mentioned that that you're working with the borough. And so then it's likely that we're going to come to some sort of resolution,
Possibly. Possibly, likely is, I think would be a little bit of an overestimate. But we do have the borough's commitment to bring it forward to the Board of Elections. Unfortunately, it's not within the borough's power to make that decision. We have to go through the Board of Elections. So, but they have committed on their part to go to the Board of Elections. So,
Okay.
I believe I'm following up with the borough administrator around the middle of the month, and hopefully we'll have some update for you on the 26th.
Okay, all right.
And
Something,
just to clarify, this is just a draft.
just a draft.
So if we decide no November break, or we decide a November break and say we are lucky enough to have the voting taken out of the school, we can always vote to amend this calendar. So this is not a final calendar, it's just a draft.
Correct. And if that's the case, that we're hoping for the elections to be removed from the building, my recommendation would be to go with the no November break, because I would hate for people to plan vacations ahead of time and then have us do a switcheroo on them.
Can I ask, would it make much of a difference if we just hold off till the next meeting? Because there are two of us that haven't really looked at any of the calendars for that year. So it
We're
might
not
help.
making the decision today,
No, I know, but to even vote on the draft,
in 2 weeks.
you know, I mean, you've got like a few balls in the air, that one more meeting, is it really
So-
going to make or break a difference?
So it sounds like, we're not voting on this, it's just a discussion. I think there's value to waiting, but I also think, Greg got a good point if he's recommending if we have to have a straw poll, just why don't we go on the safety side and say no break in November and call it a day, and
Okay.
we can read it, we can discuss it, we can change it. It's a year away from being approved or even voted on.
Yeah.
So this is all just discussion, so it's healthy discussion. I think we have a recommendation right now, which I'm willing to stand by and move on.
And if you feel, and again, like,
So no vote on this, just
no
discussion.
vote, discussion, straw poll, yes. I think the straw poll is still helpful, if you want to abstain or, vote no or things like that. Totally not a ding against you because of the timing. But yes, okay, so straw poll for, I would say, let's start with the no November break calendar. No impending, like we're hoping that elections. Yeah.
Looks like consensus.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So on the 26th, we will have this made look nicer, and we will have it for the draft calendar to be approved for 27, 28, and then if something changes between now and then, we can always make modifications. Excellent. That was quick. Thank you.
All right, so a few things that I just wanted to throw out. I either received emails or the text messages or various people in the community or around that have asked about like a committee and whether or not we're going to have a committee with regards to our permanent CSA search. I spoke with the NJSBA rep as well, our field rep. The board members are the only members that are confidential. So when you have a CSA search process, you have people that are applying from all over the state, and they may not actually have even let their own districts know that they are potentially applying for a position somewhere else. And so having people that are non-confidential on a search, like when I say committee, is a legal risk because you're opening up the process to people that potentially don't have. Okay. That you're opening up the process to people that potentially don't have confidentiality, and it's highly not recommended, not only from our legal advice, but also from the NJSBA. And then I was also told that people specifically will not apply if they know that there are non-confidential people that are involved in the process. That being said, I've received information that every member or every search firm or even the NJSBA or all of them offer sensing sessions. That is a standard process that you have stakeholder sessions where each of, whether it's the teachers, the members of the community, whether parents, students, administration, everybody will get a separate, like sensing session where you're able to talk about the things that, each group thinks are relevant for our community in making sure that we have a successful hire. That is absolutely going to be a process, and so that is kind of like the stakeholder input, and then the entire board is legally responsible for making the decision and would do so based on the input that we get from those sessions. So did you have did that cover what you were going to ask? Okay. Yeah, I know. You were just, I was going to get there. Like, so the next part is the actual RFP. So even if you have a moment, Mr. Cohen, because I remember there was something that you wanted to actually, change. If you happen to have a recommendation for the language that you want to see changed, like if you're able to just like even write like the sentence that you want to see changed, and then we'll just put it out and see if, do you understand what I mean? Like, yeah, yep, just send me an email and I will shoot it out, and then once I do that, then I'll send it out to the group. Everyone can give me feedback, and then I will forward it on to our administration to be able to put out RFP, and I'm thinking that we'll open up the search, like depending on when I get your feedback back, I'll open up the search, and then we'll have it maybe through the end of January, or the like first week of February, depending, like a full 20 days or something like that for the search. So it should be full. Any questions about that, or concerns or anything like that? No? Okay. So the naming committee, Dan, thank you for being the board rep for this committee, and it's going to comprise of our acting CSA, the principal of Central. We're going to have an HSA rep. We're also going to have somebody that is representative of the group of people that brought this forward, and I believe that covers all of it. Yeah, and then like that group will be able to figure out what's the best way to get input, and then make decisions, and then come back and make a recommendation to the board, and then we'll go from there. All right, thank you. Finally, at the last meeting, I brought up an idea with regards to, some sort of like podcast or a discussion that we would have like in front of the community. I spoke with our NJSBA rep, who was generally supportive, but really wanted to make sure that we stayed within things that were our purview, like again, things that we're able to do, and also in a sustainable way, because the last thing we need to do is just start something that is also not going to be able to be carried on, long term. So we're able to maybe have like a couple of these sessions, like per year, maybe like 6 or 5 of them or whatever we decide, where we would, either talk about policy, we could talk about, process, we could talk about, our roles as board members, like other ways that the community is able to better understand what it is that we do, what it is that, like we're responsible for, or all of those things. So that's what we're able to do, and that's what I would recommend. And I think that it would be something cool to try out, and then see what we want to do going forward, figure out what works, what doesn't work. But the last thing we also need to do is take away the process where our families, our community members go to administration. So we're not trying to circumvent that process to have them come to us specifically, like we still want them to go to their building leadership to resolve issues. And sometimes we could probably even talk about that chain of command and like the way that people are able to bring their questions and their praises and their concerns to leadership. And that's something that we could do. So if you think this works, then it's something that let's look at, creating a partnership, maybe even with our media clubs, and help enrich our students by also helping to run this podcast if that's something that administration supports. All right, questions, comments, thoughts? All right. So our next meeting date, it says TBD, but I think, yeah, January 26th. All right. And then that's it. All right, so I need a motion to adjourn our meeting. All right. Dr. Pucci Bender, seconded by Mr. Hayward. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Then 8:27, the meeting is adjourned.